Welcome to this module with Chris Newton, founder of Marketing Help Online. Here's Chris.
And we were talking about price competitiveness and pricing, and there was a gentleman in the audience who stood up and he got the microphone and he said, "Look, I'm a painter, a house painter." And he said, "I'm the Michelangelo of house painting." He told us a wonderful story. He talked about the way they prepare homes, the way he trains his tradespeople, the way he only uses quality tradespeople with experience over many years, the quality of the paints they use, their preparation procedure, their guarantee after the event so that if you have any problems or scuffs or whatever, they come and fix it for free. And he told this incredible story. And he said, "You know, I now charge what I'm worth." He said, "I'm in a market in a town with 17 painters. I'm one of 17. And before I understood how powerful all this is, he said, when someone would ring me up, they would always ask the same question, can you give me a quote on a house in such and such a street? And he said, I would instantly get out my pencil and go into discount mode. And he said, I realized that I was spending my life doing quotes. And not only that, I was spending my Sunday nights trying to work out how not to make money by cutting the margins out of my quotes. He said, I realized that if I was going to be who I am, I need to change that. And he shared it with everyone in the room. He said, now, when someone rings up, this is what I say. They ring up and they say, can you give me a quote on such and such a house in such and such a street? And he now says, thanks very much for your call. Before we go any further, there's something I would like to explain to you. I'd just like to explain that I am the most expensive painter in this town. And he said, when I would say that, one of two things would happen. Guess what the first one is? Click, yeah, exactly. But he said the second one, he said the people who stayed on the line. Now I was talking to people who really valued what I do. They would ask the question, how come you're most expensive? And he said, before when anyone would say, how come you're the most expensive? He would say, I'd sweat bullets and go into discount spiral straight away. Now, when they say, how come you're the most expensive? My response to that is, and it's a magic phrase, you might want to write this down. You know, I'm really glad you asked that. Let me explain why. It's a brilliant phrase. One little caveat, you've got to have a reason. Okay? Don't get halfway through the sentence and say, what am I going to say here? You know, I'm really glad you asked why I'm more expensive. Let me explain why. You see, when someone asks you why you're more expensive, they have just given you permission to do what? Yeah, to sell them, to tell them, to educate them. They've just given you permission. As I say, I love sharing stories, and I have another good friend now who was a client who built swimming pools. He had to drop out because of chronic fatigue syndrome. He had a brilliant business. But he used to discount like crazy. And I used to say to him, why do you discount? And he said, oh, well, I've got to be down there with the dogs. He said, it drives me crazy. He said, I'm the Michelangelo of pool building. When I build a pool, I build this exquisite pool, but everyone wants to have the lowest price. So I told him about the painter in Victoria. It just happened that the home show was coming up about 3 or 4 weeks later. Neville called me after the home show and he said, Chris, I took your advice. I said, oh, really? What did you do? He said, let me read it to you. He said, I've reprinted my brochures and I've reprinted my business cards. I really took seriously what you said. Let me read it to you. And he's on the other end of the phone, gets his card out and he says, Neville Cox, Natura Pools and Spas. And I said, well, I know that, Neville. I've known you for a long time. He said, no, it's the bit that comes next that I want you to hear. And he says, Neville Cox, Natura Pools and Spas, the most expensive pool builder. And I thought, oh, that's nice. ... on the planet. I said, Neville, I think you've gone just a little step too far here. He said, no, you should have been at the home show. He said, when I gave that out to people, you know, they would, or they would stop and say, how come you're the most expensive pool builder on the planet? And he said, now I've got contracts for pools that are $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $80,000, $100,000 total package.